Welcome to Dragons,
Unicorns,
and Other Creative Creatures. I am Dr. Kevin.
And I'm Rona Gofstein.
And we are here to greet you today and introduce you to yet another artist, another kind of artist, one we've never had before, this kind of art.
Very new.
Okay. And we recently had a commitment to having an inspirational and motivational moment, story, whatever.
Quote, poem, whatever comes across our
comes across our reality, and so I chose this one particularly, and I've been trying to actually choose them so that they're a nice lead-in for you.
Oh, good.
You know,
I like that I don't know them in advance. I mean, I'll choose some for you on occasion too, but I'm having fun kind of jumping into them cold.
Okay. Yeah, you know, I jumped into the pool this morning. It was on the cold side. It wasn't such a thrill.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah,
no.
But I did swim faster. Yeah.
Anything to warm up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It took me about the first 25 laps before I
That's too cold. That's too cold.
Yeah. I mean, my teeth weren't actually chattering because I think that they were hiding too far in my gums. But anyways.
That's too cold.
You know, the things you got to do. So, but before we do that, before I do the quote and we introduce today's guest, so as you know, 2 weeks, I get married. And so I just, you know, this is my last show out before, when I come back, I'm going to be a married man. Will you treat me any differently?
No, I'll still flirt with you.
Oh, I was going to say, you won't respect the honor and the boundaries of my marital commitment?
Respect them now. I would expect them later.
Well, because I'm not married yet. I thought maybe when I got married that that you might treat me differently. You might, treat me more, like I was, I don't know.
I don't either.
So I just thought I would ask.
We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see if I can come up with a way to treat you differently now that you're married.
Okay. I mean, when somebody gets married, they're supposed to be different in the world. So I didn't know if I was going to get treated differently or not, and I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not in favor of being treated differently.
I didn't think so.
But I just wanted to put it out there.
All right.
Okay.
It's out there. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's out there.
And we're actually going to have, Max is going to be shooting the wedding for me.
He is. He is going to be your videographer.
He's going to be my videographer.
Yes. Capturing every moment and every close-up and every teeny tiny detail.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Thank God for editing. That's all I can say. I'm so glad the world made editing. And good lighting.
And good lighting, yes. Well, we had that stone painter on, Valerie, and she made those beautiful stones.
Yes.
She gave each one of us one. And
I know there's literally rocks in my pocket. Now when the kids pick it up and say, what do you have in here, rocks? I can say, yes.
Yes, and they're not even ones that came out of your head.
Those I try to keep in there.
They came out of somebody else's head.
Yes.
But she was talking about the whole magnifying glass, that she does all that painting with magnifying glass. And all I could think of is, she talks about how, it gives you a whole different version of reality. And at that point, I remember thinking, isn't that kind of like a makeup mirror when you put on the magnifying glass?
Oh God, that's horrifying. That is just I don't want that much detail of my own face. I just don't. Blur that somehow. I need the filters from Snapchat and things.
It's the moment when your crow's feet become dragon talons.
It's not pretty.
Okay, so today's story.
Oh gosh, today's quote is, after that, I'm like, what the heck are we going to segue into?
Okay, so this is actually a little story. It's going to take me a minute, but I'm just going to share it. There is a woman named Shihali Ayers. She was born without a right arm below her elbow.
Okay.
And no was not something that she was used to hearing. As a child, her teachers told her she wouldn't be able to participate in gym class. and she did. As a teenager, coaches told her she wouldn't be able to make the basketball team because how could she dribble or shoot baskets without two hands? And she did. And then in college, she
Can't do it with two.
She set out to pursue her dream of becoming a fashion model. She was told bluntly that she would never be able to be a fashion model, even though she did have a prosthetic so she would look like she had two. And she was, it took her about 10 years, but she stayed with it, and she is now modeling. But beautiful, beautiful young woman. She stuck with it for 10 years, that this is what her dream was, and this is what she was going to do.
There you go.
And now she's doing it, and she's actually doing it showing not a prosthetic, but showing her arm as she was born with it. So first of all, I think this is a great story because the message is really clear. Whatever your dream is, you stay with it. You don't listen to the no.
No, you can't.
Can't listen to the no. When you know, your no
right, that was
is larger
okay.
than that no.
Yes.
And that also that we are maybe as a species starting to mature and grow up enough that we can accept that beauty comes in all shapes, forms, and sizes.
Yep.
And that because somebody is different in a non-traditional way, does not eliminate them. And we're seeing more of that. We're seeing that more with models. We're seeing heavier models. Yep. We're seeing albino models.
We'll say models of darker colors. Actually, Rihanna has a new makeup line out, and I think it's 30 or 40 something different colors in foundation to go up to the darkest possible and still be able to contour and highlight at that very dark level skin, because there are models who are very, very dark skinned who were told, you can't do this, you're too dark. And yeah, the albino too, you're too pale, you're too this, you're too that. You know, there's a quote somewhere about you're going to be too much for somebody, you know, and it doesn't matter. You know, what's most precious, I think, is having that core group who are behind what you know you want to do.
Well, I always remember saying this, and then we're going to introduce our guest, who herself has stuck with her dreams and pursuing things,
yes,
and is doing something that some people might think is non-traditional. But in this, I remember that when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, all my closest friends, and I think I may have told you this before, I can't remember, but you know, they would say, before they would introduce me to like new people they were dating and stuff like this, they'd say, well, you know, Kevin's a little much. He's a little bit larger than life. I would come with a warning sign. Now, these friends would all bring people to me they wanted me to meet because I would ask them the questions they wouldn't ask them. I would give them the third degree to decide whether the person, you know, these are the things you want to know if you're really going to get serious about this person. You won't ask, I will. Let's bring them over here. I have no problem. Nope. And all these stuff. And then it occurred to me one moment, and I remember this little group of friends that I used to do this with, and I remember looking at them going, you know, it's not that I am a little larger than life. It's that your life is so small, I look big.
I have too many people who are doing that. I think you're right. I think there is a trend. I hope there is a trend. I want there to be a trend to...
Trend it, baby, trend it.
Darn it.
Get it on Twitter.
To all the things that are different make us wonderful and are empowering.
Hashtag difference is beautiful.
Difference is beautiful.
Difference is beautiful.
Ooh,
and
that's just so trite, though. No, we got to do something better than that. But you know, but there aren't limits. You know, people are going to create them for everybody. You can either look for limits or you can look for ways around them.
How about beautiful differences?
I know.
Too trite for you still?
Better. May need more editing.
May need more editing. So speaking of which,
Rewrite.
Well, speaking of which.
Oh, I'm really excited, actually. Our guest today is actually a friend of mine from years. We've known each other for years.
Isn't everybody a friend of yours at this point?
No, some of them are a friend of yours.
Okay. I don't remember the last time we had one of those. Go ahead.
Julie Holmansky is the founder and creative talent behind Up Owl Night Crafting, which can be found on Etsy, and she also appears at local craft shows. Julie began sewing when she was 8. During a sleepover at a friend's house and was instantly hooked. The Christmas she turned 10, her parents bought her own sewing kit, and she attempted her first machine sewn projects by age 11. years after, she's picked up a needle and thread. I put the number of years, but I decided to leave them out because we're ageless here. She's still sewing.
And 30 months later, she's still sewing.
She specializes in fairy tale, historical, and even movie-inspired clothing for the classic 18-inch, the American Girl specialty dolls. The majority of the outfits she creates are complete. They have accessories, they have shoes. The shoes killed me, they're so cute. And the hats and all these other things. And in addition to all this, she is a supportive husband who's only a little creeped out by the dolls that she refurbishes.
You said she is a supportive husband?
She has a supportive
Oh, I
husband.
thought you said she is a supportive husband.
No, has one.
Okay.
I hope I didn't say she is one. She
I
has
think-
a supportive husband
yeah,
who's only mildly creeped out by the doll heads hanging around the house. And she homeschools her 2 kids, which is actually how we first originally met.
Oh, okay.
So now I'd like you all to meet Julie Holmansky.
Hi.
Hey, Julie, how are
Nice
you
to meet
today?
Good.
So we have some of your, so how did you go from loving to sew, because there's a lot of things one can sew, to, what was that song, Short People? Short People.
Don't like
they
that
got-
song.
No, okay. So tell us a little about the journey from needle and thread to,
Chewbacca.
yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta do this. Oh, it's a Chewbacca Halloween costume on a kid.
Yes.
Okay, see, it's backwards to me. I couldn't see it.
All
All
I
I
could
was
see
seeing was this.
Fur.
I thought I was going to turn around and it was going to be a Chewbacca face. I didn't. No. Oh, yeah.
That'd
See,
be great.
Yeah. So
Even
tell
has
us
his
a little bit.
little bag.
Yeah, but no shoes. You said you love the shoes. No shoes.
Not in this one, no.
Okay. Go ahead.
So how I started sewing doll clothes?
Yes, why
From
dolls?
sewing?
And from one to...
Well, I've always sewn, but I started out with things like stuffed animals, Christmas ornaments, just little crafty things, which is weird. I've always collected dolls, and I didn't start sewing for them until my daughter got her first American Girl doll when she was 5. So we got it for her 5th Hanukkah and Christmas. We celebrate both in my family. And I made her a bunch of clothes for Christmas that year. And a couple years later, I made her clothes as well. I just kind of kept doing it because she liked my clothes better than the American Girl doll clothes. It was her 8th Christmas, and she told me in late November, I want you to make me all the Disney princess clothes for Christmas this year.
November, that's when you want to let mom know this.
And part of me was like, it's November.
I don't
like,
have elves.
I don't have this much time. But the other part of me was like, she's 8. How much longer is she really going to be playing with these? You know, do I even have another year where she's going to ask me, you know, Mom, make me these? So I did. Unfortunately, you know, time's limited. You know, homeschooling,
Yes.
time's very limited, and they were in a million activities. So I had to take things with me on the go. So I brought a lot of fabric and patterns with me. Any of the handwork I could do without my sewing machine, like sewing on little details, I would take with me. A lot of that happened to be at my daughter's dance studio, where there's lots of other moms with little girls around. So people started asking me, oh, do you sell those? Can you make one for my daughter? And at first I thought people were just being like polite or trying to make conversation. My daughter had a fundraiser for her dance team, and I made a mermaid costume for it, and people got into a bidding war over it. I was shocked. The mom who lost actually tracked me down after the event and was like, can you still make one for my daughter? So it just kind of started from there, where I started selling.
So these were clothes for the actual children, not for dolls.
No, these were for the dolls.
These were all for the dolls.
These were all
I know
for the
you did a
dolls.
few
Yep.
where they've matched. I know you did
A couple. I did
cape
I did an Elsa costume the year Elsa came out, and it was huge for my daughter. But I don't typically like sewing for humans. They're all different sizes. The dolls are one size. It's
This is
easy.
true. This is true.
Okay. So, anyways, so you got tracked down and you made another, I'm assuming it was like
Another
an
mermaid.
Ariel.
Yep.
type,
Yes.
another Ariel
Yes.
type
It was
of
an
costume.
Ariel type of costume.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have Belle up front there, and Belle is one of my favorites when it comes to, she's one of the yellow dress in the center there. Belle is my favorite from the Disneys.
Mine too.
So when she did Belle, I'm like, you don't make them into big sizes. She's like, no, too much fabric, too many people, they move, they change weights, and you're right. I mean, it's definitely more, oh, good. Hey, we can reach her. Whee! So when Beauty and the Beast came out, the live action, you must have seen, again, the popularity for everybody wanting Belle.
I'm actually working on a custom order right now for a repeat customer who wants that movie dress from the new movie.
The yellow one or the floral one at the end?
The yellow one with
one.
all of the different layers to it.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's like a 96-page pattern. I'm not even kidding. The pattern is 96 pages.
Oh my God.
96
pages
Yes.
of pattern.
I've seen scripts smaller than that.
Yes, that would be an almost an hour and a half plus movie is 96 pages. So
Okay. So now you both said, now I've got a question here. Why do you both love Belle? You both were like, oh, and Belle's my favorite. You both were
is.
like that. So
Belle's the best.
she's a reader. I mean, that was part of it, I think, for me. Is the one of the memes that goes around with that was everybody wants to be the prince. I want the library. He gives her this huge library, and the one they did for the live action was equally immense and gorgeous and wonderful. I think there was something about Belle, her own strength, her own wherewithal. Yes, I mean, there are people who describe the Beauty and the Beast story in very negative tones and concepts, but she makes a choice, and then she makes the best of that choice.
And why did you like Belle so much? I'm just curious.
It was my favorite fairy tale before they even had a Disney movie. It was my favorite fairy tale growing up. I remember my grandmother reading it to me over and over when she'd come babysit.
Aww.
And I felt that the main character, of course, isn't really called Belle in the actual story. She's
No,
just
she's called
Beauty.
The Beauty, yeah.
In the original story. I just felt she was so brave. Again, a lot of people now are saying, oh, it's Stockholm Syndrome and this and that. But, she was selfless. She sacrificed herself for her father. So.
Well, one of
Making
the
a choice,
things is,
yeah.
of all of the Disney princesses, not that I have the familiarity that the two of you have, I hung out with different kind of princesses.
Did you? Yeah.
Yes. She was the one that really did the rescuing.
Yes.
She didn't get rescued. She did the rescuing.
Yeah, she rescued
She
him.
rescued her father, and she rescued the beast, and she stood up to the town, and she claimed and owned her own unique. She didn't mind being odd.
No, and she
Odd
doesn't
was okay.
change
No.
for anybody.
No, and she doesn't change for anybody. And, so often the message to little girls are, you need to get rescued. Prince Charming, somebody needs to come rescue you. Somebody needs to come save you. And Belle was the first kick-ass princess.
Well, I think that's one of the things. I mean, I don't know if that's what attracted you and your daughter to the American Girl dolls themselves, but they themselves they came out not just with the dolls, but with a huge line of books, and they're all from different time periods. So you have them in their traditional Christmas, and you have them going to school, and you have them with their families, and you see them in all these different ways. So they were more than just, I don't want to say mindless, but there was story to them,
Yes.
which sort of captured my interest. I aged out. I was too old when they came out. I was past
So was I.
playing doll, and I didn't have daughters. So you got to recapture it. But I thought that was wonderful, too, that they gave the American Girl doll series was really about a girl and her heritage and her history and her potential and her possibilities. And they've gone all the way through the 70s, and they've done immigrant dolls, and they've done Native American, and it's a huge line, which is one of the reasons why you can see from the ones in front of us, and some of the pictures will show up as well, a huge range of skin tones
Yes.
and faces. They've really done a tremendous job. I mean, you have Dr. Kevin knocked her over, but we have a photo we could show of the Moana, which I think was our first one. Our Hawaiian princess. I don't know if we're allowed to use Moana's name without paying money to the Disney company. But here she is. And don't you love her backgrounds? These are from her shop. You can see the lovely logo for Up Owl Night, which I think if you had to do all those princesses for your daughter from November to Christmas, that would keep you up all night.
Oh, yes.
There she is with her incredibly long hair. Now, did that doll actually come with hair that long originally?
Yes, no, that's Kaya. She's
okay.
a Native American doll. She's
Okay.
the only Native American in the American Girl line.
Because you've altered dolls.
Oh, yes, I have.
Now, just their hair or also their features? Or?
I've popped eyeballs out.
Ah.
I've repainted their faces. It was funny.
Popped eyeballs. You know, now we've never had a single guest say that.
No, and we wonder why her husband gets a little creeped out. You know, I'd be having these nightmares. You know, they'll wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd be like, well, "What are you doing?" I was just seeing if it would pop out.
If yours would come out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll be sitting on the couch at night watching TV, and I'm like ripping hair off a doll, like sticking a spoon under the wig, or you know, popping their eyes out, and he's just like, ugh.
It could be a little unnerving after dinner.
It's creepy, and my son's kind of creeped out by them too. I think we're going to have to pay for a lot of therapy when he's
So
older.
please go to Up All Night.
Support my son's therapy.
Yes, all the trauma from these beautiful.
I'll give you my
Dolls.
card.
I love it.
But your daughter doesn't mind.
No, she doesn't mind.
So why do you think that the women in the household don't mind this play out of what could be perceived as violent behavior?
A lot of men are just creeped out by dolls. I collect dolls too. I've been a lifelong doll collector, and in my basement I have these shelves with glass fronts and a lot of different types of dolls in there. And we have our parties down there. We have a big New Year's party, and all our friends come. My male friends are terrified of these things. They are. They're completely freaked out. They call them my little dead children or my creepy dead children.
Oh my God.
They're horrified by them. I mean, my kids, they had a movie night the other night in the basement because that's where people go to party.
That's the place.
And there's like all my dolls around and this big bin of American Girl dolls I'm customizing. Some have no hair, some have no arms, some have no eyes. They watched Annabelle.
Oh God.
The doll horror movie.
That's the horror movie about the possessed doll. Because, why not? I don't know, maybe it's because we don't see dead children. I mean, maybe those of us who play with them see the animated, we look at them and see what life we brought to them, what stories we gave them, what they represented to us.
And the guys are just like, they're looking at me. Why won't they stop?
Lie them down and then their eyes close.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like your basement could definitely be used as a scene for a horror movie.
We were talking about reading Stephen King prior to going on the air, so.
Oh, okay.
So, it's not as if, Julie's only reading Disney novels. She is reading some of the Stephen King, so, we're joking about Pennywise the doll.
Ah, so there you go. So this was one of your creations. I don't know anything about these American Girl dolls.
You don't have a daughter or nieces who are in them, no?
No, my nieces have kids, or my niece has a child. My nephews, they have small children, but I don't play dolls with them. So I think I might have a G.I. Joe left. Does that count?
Yeah, those are hell to make clothes for, though.
Yeah.
Those are just ridiculously.
They're tiny.
They're tiny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here's another great one. Let's show our viewers this one.
So the American doll, we saw a Native American representation of American doll, and this is?
This is one I actually customized and sold it in this outfit. I do have another outfit like this left. I love to make cultural clothing in addition to the fairy tale clothing. So my saris, I've gotten really big into making saris. They're all made from actual saris, at least in part. Not the overlay and the drape on this one, but the fabric underneath was made from a sari my friend brought me back from India. And the doll in the red that I have here, she's made from a sari. It was advertised as a wedding sari that I bought off somebody from Etsy who combs the markets in India and buys like secondhand used saris. So I import a lot of those to make those
That's great,
authentic.
because kids do want things that look like them. We hear it about television and movies, we don't see enough. And we were talking initially about that model, when she was growing up, she didn't see in media or anything anybody who looked like her. But now she gets to be a stand for other people who do look like her. And that is one of the places, dolls and toys are a place where kids want to see themselves.
Would you ever consider doing dolls that would be representative for like young children that have cancer or some other thing?
I had an inquiry once. She didn't end up going through with it, but it was a girl who had a large hematoma on her face, like one of those big strawberry birthmarks. So the mom contacted me and asked, do you do something like that? So I did I played with an extra head that I had and did
There's something a guest has never said either. I played with an extra head that I had.
And, I made like a close approximation of it. She didn't end up contacting me back, but yeah, I would definitely do something like that if somebody was interested.
And that's great. Again, seeing, realizing you can create things that help kids to see themselves as.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at some of these, children that are struggling with, the cleft palate issue.
That would be a little hard to do.
That would be really hard to do.
Yeah, but other things that make people different, An
American Girl itself has gotten a lot better as a company of showing those differences too. You can order bald dolls directly from the company for like kids with alopecia or kids who have cancer. You can also get hearing aids now for the dolls. They have a special attachment. They drill like an extra hole in the back of behind the ear so it fits in. Glasses, braces, they have a wheelchair. So, they are trying to be more accommodating to differences and represent all girls.
Which is great, because I think you do. You want to see you. I mean, yes, you want to be unique and you want to be an individual, but as somebody who grew up with the name Rona, I also know that there are times when you just want to be like everybody else, and it's hard to stand out. And it's nice when something can remind you that you're unique, but, lovable, beautiful,
That's what attracted my daughter to the line. Every year, like, they send out this beautiful catalog at Christmas. And from the time she was like 2, I'd show her the catalog and try to get her interested in the line for the younger girls, the bitty babies, or like baby dolls. She wanted nothing to do with them. The year she turned 5 was the year the doll Rebecca Rubin came out. And she was a Russian Jewish doll. Her parents were Russian Jewish immigrants. My husband's a Russian Jewish immigrant. So my daughter saw herself in Rebecca. And, after that, the collection just kind of took off. Because then she decided she liked dolls.
Open that
Yes.
Pandora's
box.
The funny thing is,
That's what it is, yeah.
if they're not, unless they're socialized that way, both male and female children like dolls.
They actually have a boy doll now. They came out with their very first boy doll named Logan. I don't have him yet, but they do have a boy doll finally. People have been asking for one for years.
Well, yeah, because, they always say that one of the reasons why you end up, I always remember this story that when my niece was born, my sister-in-law went to the bathroom, and I was I was watching my niece, and I could tell that she needed her diaper changed. My sister-in-law walks out, and my niece maybe was, I don't know, maybe a month old or whatever, and she walks out, and I'm changing her diaper, and I'm just about finished. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Changing her diaper." And she goes, "Her own father hasn't changed her diaper yet. He's like completely afraid." And I said, "Not a big deal."
Yeah.
But, I didn't...
Well, Free to Be You and Me, which was one of my favorite albums growing up, has a song on it called William's Doll, about a boy who wants a doll.
Yeah.
And when Max was born, we got his older brother a doll.
Well, but part of it is if boys were given dolls that they were drawn to want to play and experiment with, as far as, that kind of thing, they would be less resistant to feeling like my brother did, like, I don't know how to nurture.
I can't touch this. I'm going
to
break it.
So I think it's very interesting to do that. So sometimes you just want to be like everyone else, really?
When I was young, I did, yeah.
Yeah, I never had. I always thought everyone should be more like me. So anyway.
No. When you're we'll do a show on how many creatives grew out of being bullied and all of that stuff and the negatives. But
you deck them first. They can't bully you. No, go ahead. So.
I don't think that's what my mother recommended. But, it's funny because we've talked about the ones that are culturally similar and help girls see themselves. And then, of course, here with the Disney Princess, and we have Chewbacca, because you also have the fandoms. And one of the pictures we have, I really want everyone to see this.
I want to know the story behind this.
Talk about a Disney princess, since now they own them, is the awesome Princess Leia. I love this one.
Oh, that's supposed to be Leia.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And from the first movie with her hood's up, where she puts it down to help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Oh, you don't even. I can't see your head rolls with this picture.
They're there.
I'm sure they are.
Her little buns,
Yeah. I
little
have
cinnamon
confidence in-
rolls.
I looked at it and all I could think of was Sally Fields and the Flying Nun for some reason.
You're dating
oh, she-
yourself, honey. We were joking earlier. She could do the Handmaid's Tale. She could do a white hood and a big. Why don't you want to play with that one, girl, kids? That one's worse than Pennywise. But I love this one because I love the fact that you get to dip in because you do have some fandoms you adore. You have mentioned and we've talked about Harry Potter.
Yes.
And Chewbacca is going to wear a Ron Weasley outfit someday, I hear.
Yes.
Well,
He's got red hair already.
I was going to say, he's got red hair. I noticed that your Chewbacca had red hair.
Yeah.
So the rumor is that after Halloween,
Now-
At some point.
And he looks like a male doll.
That's one that I customized into a male doll.
Okay.
does that make it a transgender?
Gendered? I was wondering.
They're not anatomically correct. So they're anatomically neutral. Visually presenting as female, most of them, but anatomically neutral. Nobody should go out and worry that these are.
So should we use the them pronoun for that one?
You have to ask. You have to ask. Even depends on what they prefer. I am not getting into this. I love Leia though. I mean, she's become such a. She's been a fan favorite for so
Yes.
long, and
She's
I think
another strong female character.
she is who rescues herself, who grabs lightsabers and blasters, and she's sassy. I mean, the first thing she says to Luke is, "Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?" You know, she's been raised. I've always kind of wondered, and I tend not to read fan fiction, but I've always been kind of curious about her upbringing, because when the movie series we see her born, and then we don't see her again until she's, I mean, how old is she supposed to be in A New Hope? Probably late teens, early 20s.
Right.
So we don't know what's made this woman who's grown up in privilege to decide to be a rebel and to be on potentially the losing side, certainly the less popular side. So she's always been a great character, and it was wonderful to see her rise to the rank of from princess to general.
Yes.
That was a nice change.
But she was raised with a family that, and I think it's an interesting statement of how the Star Wars world works. She was raised very patriotic to her family, and she shows, that concept of noblesse oblige.
Yeah.
That says, that my position comes with rights, but it also comes with responsibilities.
Yes.
And she, and because of her bloodline, which we don't find out too much later,
Right.
she has it within her to execute those responsibilities.
Yeah.
So definitely,
I love
a
seeing that
positive role
she's
model.
been, and growing. I mean, her popularity, even from those original films, has remained and continues to be very, very popular. Not to mention the fact that, thanks to the fact that they didn't have much of a budget, her costume, if you want to role play, is really easy to do.
Yes.
I mean, really, you don't have to go all crazy to actually be her, which is actually kind of nice. She's very no frills in her own
Definitely.
way, and yet some of Julie's stuff is very frills, because can we go, what's next? Which one's next? And is it the one I hope? Oh, this one is reversible. The top and the bodice on that one reverses. That's the peacock dress. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those shoes. They kill me. The shoes kill me.
Okay, so now, was that Ariel before she became transgender? And became,
No.
No, but that is another doll that I customized.
okay.
Okay, what was she originally?
She was Krissa, which was every year they have a Girl of the Year that's just out that year. So she was the Girl of the Year. I don't remember what year she was, but I bought her used, and I wanted to make an Anne of Green Gables doll because I love Anne of Green Gables.
There you go.
So she's typically my Anne of Green Gables doll, but I use her for modeling other things.
She's a multifaceted career.
So she came to you as a redhead.
No, she came to me with a short brown bob and blue eyes, I think. I popped her
Wow,
eyes out. I popped her eyes out, put green eyes in.
Yeah, and then gave her a dye job. Grew her hair
New
out.
wig, new wig.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's great. I love the fascinator that's in her hair.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what her children think if she says, "Here, why don't you let me help you get dressed? We can change your eye color, your hair length."
Very Coraline.
Yeah.
Back to the book allusions. I love the fact that she's Anne of Green Gables. I mean, that's interesting too. That you can take, and I know you have a Dorothy. you've done her, that you can take these heroines of books and bring them to life, which is the reverse of what American Girl doll did. They created the doll and they created books to go with the doll, but now you can take books, you know, fan favorite books.
Right.
And are you going to make a Hermione?
Yes.
Oh, good. Although I have a thing for Luna. Being somebody who always gets sorted into Ravenclaw, I love Luna.
I love Luna too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to make a Luna too.
You might have to make her, she'd get great earrings, and she'd have just beautiful blonde hair and the white and the beautiful eyes and stuff. But yeah, they, being able to take the characters, and then you get to create your own fan fiction too. You can, you can put Anne of Green, if Anne of Green Gables is your doll, then you can give Anne her own stories.
Have you ever thought of creating your own perfect heroine?
No, I haven't.
But now that you
but
mention
now
it.
that sparked some ideas.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You can do it in 2 different colors.
You could take a doll and design a character out of your imagination and give her a set of adventures,
Yeah.
and that would definitely
Yeah.
create a line of merchandisable products.
And
nothing
great,
else.
and great stories with
Yeah.
slightly creepy aspects, I have a feeling.
Oh, it would have to be a little bit creepy.
Have to have a little creep too.
I have to be a little bit creepy.
Got to do it. And maybe a character who can take her own eyes out. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if I go that far.
This image, I want our
Okay,
our
but-
review. Yep. What are you going to say before that?
Before we get to this image,
Okay,
though.
before we get to the image.
Before we get to this image, though, if you were to create your own doll that was like a metamorph that could change, like the character in X-Men.
Oh, like Mystique.
Mystique.
As a metamorph.
Okay, but and they used to have them on Star Trek: The Next Generation. They had
Yep.
the metamorph that could change and stuff like this. You have a doll, and you go, this doll goes out, and you create this whole storyline of this adventure as a metamorph that becomes whoever she needs to become, male or female,
There you go.
to solve the mystery or create the adventure.
Virginia Woolf's Orlando meets Mystique from the
Yeah.
X-Men.
So, anyways, just an idea for you.
Julie's like, yeah, I have time for that. No problem.
So, talk to us about this doll. Is this
Okay,
the
we
doll
have
you
to.
love so
I
much?
love this one. I know that Julie's
don't
done a
have
couple
her,
of
right?
these.
Go
Let's
ahead.
bring it. No, didn't bring her. But no, is this one was supposed to be Downton Abbey? Was it supposed to be Titanic, or just in general either?
I've used that pattern for both. I pattern test for this particular designer. It's
Oh, you should explain that. She does pattern testing. That's how,
Okay.
which is really cool. She gets the patterns. Can this be made? Is there a step missing?
so it's like
Is it 96 pages?
it's like proofreading, making sure that the steps are actually, you can follow them. Because a lot of times you have an idea in your head and it's very clear to you. But if you're giving a set of instructions, it may not be clear to somebody else. So
Yeah.
there are several designers I pattern test for. This designer's Love You Bunches. And this was the Lady Lily's Winter Evening Gown, I believe, is the title of her pattern. And she did it, she's a big Downton Abbey fan. So it's very much Downton Abbey inspired. I've used this pattern to make Downton Abbey type dresses. I've also used it to make Titanic dresses.
Right. You had one that was the rose one with the lace overlay. I think it was.
Yes,
I had seen.
that had I think it was over 500 beads I did by hand on
You
that
start
dress.
you start having serious sympathy for the costume designers on movie
Yes.
sets. I'll
Yeah.
bet. When you start
Yeah.
to realize, because not only do they have the one, but they have to make multiple versions of
Mm-hmm.
it because she's gonna rip it and it's gonna get worn or whatever's gonna happen to it. The gloves on this kill me. The fact that you can make gloves that tiny.
They're
now,
not fun to make. Those are kind of a pain.
I would
to
guess
make the gloves.
so.
Is that a hat she's wearing, or does
No.
her hair have gray streaks in it?
No, it's
just shiny
It's
and-
just the way the light is reflecting on it. She's got a clip in.
She's got like a
clip in her
fascinator, a
hair.
little like our
yeah.
steampunk babe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a feather. It's a feather clip.
I was fascinated to think that you made like an older-looking doll that had
we
gray
go.
hair or something. A little Maggie Smith going on there.
Great, one McGonagall coming up. Then you'll have to be able to give her a little cat too, so she can
You'd have to.
have to. But I love it because you do play. I mean, you said you do sort of costumes, like the saris, so the dress of different regions, and then we get into the fandoms. We have the Disney, we have the Star Wars. Downton Abbey has a huge fan base, even though it's been off the air now several years. There's one up front there with the beautiful little hat on that's steampunk. Because there's so many different things you can do, and it's great that I think goth could be fun. I just thought of that. The person I know who does steampunk also does goth. I'm thinking, I've seen some of her dresses. Those would look fun on an American Girl doll.
Well, you could always do, a magenta and a Columbia.
There you go, just like from Rocky Horror.
and a Dr. Frankenfurter.
Now, is there one you've wanted to do that you haven't done yet?
The Harry Potter collection, that's what I really want to do. I'm working on the dolls, but
So first comes, that's the first.
first come the dolls, because I really need the models, the correct models for the outfits.
See, now I think Harry would look lovely in a sari. Wait, come on. Little place to keep his wand.
You can make Ron's awful dress robes.
Oh, those were horrible.
Those were so horrible. Smell like my great Aunt Tilly. And then you have to put the scar on his head, so you've learned how to be able to do.
I'm toying with ideas on how to do that.
Yeah, and get the glasses to stay.
I've got the glasses.
All right,
I have
that's
the
good.
wig. It's not glued on yet. I put green eyes in his head. Took his original
like
eyes
his
out.
mother's.
Yes,
That's right,
you
he
have
has-
Lily's eyes.
Yeah,
Lily's
because it's
eyes.
got to be book appropriate.
It does, because
like-
everybody, and with the movies in addition, people know what they want it to look like.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that, you just have to take the wand out and go, Avina Karanda,
Yeah.
and
If only.
the scar will
There's gotta
appear,
be-
right?
there's
Did I miss
gotta
that
be
part
It's
of
so
the-
much
moments.
easier,
Yeah,
There
you're
have
like,
got
what's
to have
going
been
on?
moments when you wish that you could just kind of.
Usually late at night when I start making lots of mistakes. Those are the moments I
Oh.
wish I had a magic wand.
Now-
So yeah, so you said it's a combination of both on a lot of these, both hand and machine work.
A lot of it's machine work, but there are certain things I have to hand sew, like all the flowers on this dress. I had to hand sew those on. and,
Yeah, all the details.
yeah, that takes a
And
while.
the shoes.
And so how many of the 96 pages did you have to hand sew?
I haven't started it yet. I finally have the fabric for
Needs
it.
more
I have
alcohol.
to cut the pattern out. I told her I'll be working on this a little bit at a time while I do other things, but she's
Yeah,
fortunately
that's-
very patient. So
Yeah, there you go.
That's going to be incredible. And take lots of pictures because you're only
Yes.
doing that one once.
I may only be doing this one once.
Yeah.
Well, it depends if somebody falls in love with it, and
She's going to know how much time it's going to take her, really.
yeah.
I have friends who tested that pattern. I don't test for that particular designer.
So you have an
and
idea. Of,
they told me it was like at least 4 or 5 hours to make the full. She's got some simplified versions you
Is
can
that
make
after the
instead, but
cutting?
I don't know if they included cutting in that or not, but yeah,
I can't imagine how much cutting is going to be.
it's several layers.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I watched the videos and stuff, and I've watched Project Runway and seen those things, and I'm always amazed at having to get it to line up, to fall properly and stuff. Now, before we run out of time, and I don't know if our viewers can see it, but there's a hot dog down there on the table. Can you guys, I hope you can see him. There's a little dog, and he's wearing his own little costume. Now, are those available on your site too?
Those are, I have.
Those are so cute. I know you used to have sock monkeys too.
Yeah, I took those off of
Oh.
Etsy. I have a booth space right now in a local store called Co-Creations in
nice.
Amherst, New Hampshire. It's in Salzburg Square. So I do have a couple of those available there, and I've got sock monkeys available there. But I do have a couple of these hot dogs available on Etsy right now.
Those are so cute. Because, if you've got a stuffed animal, why not humiliate him? No, I don't care.
Well, they
Better
have-
than
That's what you
really.
have children for.
Hey, well, you have a dog.
children
you
to
have,
humiliate.
My husband would kill me. We have German Shepherds. He's like, that is not dignified to dress them up in costumes. So no, I can't put costumes on my real dogs. But
I have the cutest picture of 2 huskies that were dressed up like Batman and Robin.
Aw.
And it was just so appropriate. It was like they looked like, yes, they would.
They would actually dress that way on their own
Yes.
if they could, yeah.
Yes, huskies, they're superheroes.
They are, this is true.
You can't dress them up like wieners.
No.
They're not hot dog dogs.
No.
No, definitely not.
We want to thank Julie for coming.
Thank you so
and
much.
Thank you for
sharing
having me.
her array of scary dolls.
These aren't the scary ones. The scary ones are at home.
So
In process, hairless, eyeless. Yeah, why don't we wrap up?
your passion will lead you down your path of creativity. Never think that whatever your gifts, talents, and passions are can't be something that you could make a living by. People do it all the time, but that's because they do it. those who just think about why they can't somehow never get it done. Namaste.